Oh my God, silver's falling. Silver's falling. I look at the day charts and silver's falling. I'm going to capitulate and sell all my silver. I'm mad at people who forced me to buy silver. Oh my goodness, I'm so upset. Welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel, the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman, someone who's been stacking for longer than many of you have been alive. I know some of you surpassed me in that, but that's okay. Someone who's been stacking since before the age of 7 years old. Autodidact, reading history, economics, monetary policy, for as long as I can remember. Started this channel so I could make friends like you, and we could share these conversations and talk about these things because, well, quite frankly, people that were close to me were probably sick of discussing these things with me. Today's title is based on some of the old discussions we've had in the past. I keep referring to this the last several years, that we're in a multi-decade bull run. And I also want to address the transitory discussion. Absolutely sick of that word. We're going to bring it up. We'll probably mention it a few times. But to the little clowns, the little circus performers, those that think that silver is going down, the ones that look at the day movements, which I don't really understand that exactly. The up a percent, a percent, down a percent, up a percent, down a percent, up 2%, down a percent. I don't get the whole fixation. And this, maybe it's deep-seated. Maybe it's psychological. Americans need instant gratification. If they can't microwave their food in 5 minutes, they don't want it. If the show is longer than 15 minutes long, they can't watch it. Heck, it's worse than that now. Now they can't last through a 10-second video clip on some of the social media streams. People want instant results, instant gratification. They're also very pretentious and entitled. They deserve this, of course, because perhaps they're an American, or maybe it's because they're a Canadian, or they're British, I don't know. To fill in the blank. They feel like they deserve this. They're buying silver, so therefore it must moonshot immediately. They don't get how long this is drawn out. The epic battle that we're in. I mean, it's almost mythological. It's Homeric. It's quite the tale that we find ourselves in this timeline. Thank you, Christine de Silverwash, for the super chat. I always appreciate those, and I appreciate all of you. I want to get into today's content today. If you've got a coin after your name, you know who you are. I can see you in the chat. I can see you in the comments. You're a channel member. You motivate, energize, make this community and this channel what it is. So I thank you for that. I thank you also for smashing the like button, for being here. Today we're going to make fun of some people. We're going to hurt some feelings. We're going to drag them through the mud. We're not going to name them. I don't want to do that. But they'll know who they are because they tune in. Because they can't help it. They have to. They're forced to be here. My powers, they themselves, they do not understand, I guess. They don't know where the escape button is. Or they have to be there. They're in the community tabs. They show up. They leave their comments. They send out their negative waves, man. Moriarty, we don't need any more negative waves. If you guys know what movie that's from, good for you. I see those comments all the time. I really don't care. I got to be honest with you. When these people capitulate, when they finally throw in the towel and they give up because they've gone 9 rounds with the COMEX and the Fed, and they've gotten bruised up from the pistol whipping, yeah, I guess I could say I can't blame them. Maybe they didn't read enough. Maybe they're just not in it for the right reasons. Maybe they don't understand the ideology. Maybe they don't understand the history. And that's okay. Not everybody can succeed or make it or make the right play, the right paradigm shift, or the right trade at the right time. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. There would be no outliers and it wouldn't be special. The people that are holding dollars, that have faith in dollars, that have faith in this system and that it will last, that somehow, miraculously, their wealth will be preserved over time, that's fine. That's the bet that they're making. Again, there's 2 sides of that bet, though. Then there's you and me. And we bet that that's not going to be that way. The dollar's not going to last. And I'm going to show you some charts. We're going to take a little journey here in a moment. But I want you to look at what I pulled up first. You know what? I didn't even plan on putting this particular graphic up for the opening of this video, but I think it fits. take a look at it for a second. You can see this is live trading. Silver's ticking away right now. Ticking away, ticking away, ticking away. It's up at 2607, 2606. You can see from, what is that, 1903 is the left side of the chart there. 1903. That's a good heavy 17 or 118 years ago or something. It's a long time ago. It's over a century ago. Now, it's pretty obvious that when you look at this chart, silver was flat from about 1903 till about 1965. And I think that each of you should understand why. That it was pretty stable. There's a little bit of course, time periods where there was both deflationary and inflationary pressures affecting the silver price because of supply and different economic factors and relationships, things that were taking place politically, globally. But overall, you have to admit that when you look at that chart, it's overall fairly stable from 1903 till about 1965-ish. And as a matter of fact, it has an overall inclination. It's inclining just ever so slightly. There's a little dip here back around 1910 maybe, but 1920s all the way up, you can see it just rising off that baseline. And it's increasing value, it's purchasing power. Now, we all know that they removed gold from the dollar. They removed silver eventually in 1965. You know all the history there. I don't need to get into that. We don't need to do a big bunch of historical review. You guys get it. Overall, when you look at this chart, yeah, it's volatile. I've talked about that for a long time. I'm going to eliminate a couple of things here, though. This was an outlier, bizarre event. Shouldn't have happened. It was artificially manipulated. Of course, there was a Hunt Brothers situation. A lot of different factors played into this spike that you see in the 80s. There was that inflationary moment, Volcker with the Fed, the inflation of the 70s, Jimmy Carter, the whole situation. Gas prices, OPEC. The Cold War was still going on. We were reeling and trying to recover from the war in Vietnam, another wasted effort of United States foreign policy debacle, similar to us running with our tail between our legs and abandoning Afghanistan at night, because, of course, that's what empires do. They invade very proudly and arrogantly, and they show it all over the news, and then they slip away quietly with their tail between their legs when people in their pajamas show them how it is. Now, when you look at this chart, I'm going to eliminate the 1980s piece here because, again, there's a lot of variables that played into that. Okay, and I honestly, I'm going to be honest with you real quick here. I have still yet to meet a single human being on this planet. I've never met a person. I've been stacking silver, again, my whole life. I've never met a single person who bought silver during the 1980 all-time highs, this spike here. Never met one. There might have been some people out there that did. I'm sorry about that. Sorry. Tough. Overall, you eliminate that, though. Didn't do anything. Most people bought back here. I know some people that even bought, you hear about them. I've even read articles about them. But I have known people that exchanged fiat cash for silver at banks back when it was first eliminated from circulation. So they were essentially getting constitutional silver literally, you can't even say spot. They were getting it for $1 per dollar. It was like zero cost for them to acquire silver positions back here. And they did for remarkable. People had been buying it for years. I bought a lot of my stuff back in here when I was a kid, back in the the late 80s, early 90s and such. And then up through there, 2000s, and continue to today. I honestly can't tell you where I'm in this spike during the 2008 crisis in 2010 and 2011 when silver really jumped. I didn't acquire too much then. As a matter of fact, that's when I did my little ratio flip from silver into gold at this time period, and you guys are familiar with that. But I like to take this spike out in the 80s because I think it was a fluke. And if you do that, if you put your hand over the screen, you can kind of see better where this overall thing is headed. And even with that, overall, just overall trending higher. And there was a lot of manipulation that, again, a lot of things took place that assaulted the silver markets. We can't even begin to dive into the whole spoofing event during the 2016 time period here where you see this dip here, but this is definitely, there was a lot of, remember that, JP Morgan, HSBC, a lot of banks got busted. right in this window that I'm circling with the mouse. You can see it. And I think there was definitely manipulations and things taking place. You know, they had the dumping of the strategic stockpile. You had some government intrusion into the marketplace taking place in the 80s, 90s, and such. And of course, you had the factor of the ignorant American and the average ignorant human who didn't understand the correlation between silver, labor, wealth, purchasing power, all of these things. They just didn't get it. And so the faith in metals was kind of put onto a shelf someplace. Some people remembered it. Some people forgot. And of course, faith was instilled into things like fiat and stocks and bonds and all these other little vehicles people chased to try to preserve and hold on to the store of their labor, their wealth, if they could, or try to grow it. And, well, you know, I think the days for the dollar are numbered. I think the herd eventually will wake up. I think it's becoming more and more commonplace for people to have an understanding of how this stuff is all related and where it might be ending up, where it might be going. I think the internet kind of helped that as well. But let's get into some things here quickly. Again, this is the unscripted, extemporaneous ramblings of a madman. If you don't like it, I don't have sponsors, so you really can't complain to them. I'm not going to buy your product because you support Junius Maltby. Sorry, they don't exist. There's nobody like that. So here's the deal. You don't like the channel, you don't like the content, you don't believe in silver or gold anymore, buy. Well, buy, kid. I mean, really, nobody cares. I've read a lot of not articles, really. Well, I guess you could count them as articles, but I really don't read through all of their words because it just becomes a dribble at some point. But I've been seeing an uptick, we'll call it that, a trend in capitulation. People that, well, I've been stacking silver for 5 months, Junius. They act like they're veterans. Or I've been stacking silver for 6 years, Junius. Nobody cares. I've been stacking silver for a decade, Junius. Still, nobody cares, guy. Hey, Junius, I've been stacking silver for 20 years and I've had it. I'm done with it. I'm selling it all. Oh, do it. That's a good idea. You should sell all of your silver and buy fiat, and I would hold that as long-term as possible. As a matter of fact, convert it all into $100 bills and put them under your mattress and wait 2 decades and then go get them. All of those dollar bills that you hid in your mattress will be worth more. You'll be able to buy all kinds of good stuff. I mean, heck, you might even be able to buy 10 times the goods and services that you could buy today. So please sell all of your silver and hold cash if you could. And you know what? Here's the deal. Go buy TikTok stock or Amazon or GameStop. Go do that too. And some AMC while you're at it. Just put all of it into the marketplace and forget about it. Honestly, I don't care. I don't care how many decades, centuries, millenniums. If you're some kind of a vampire creature, you're 3,000 years old. I don't care how long you have been stockpiling silver. Then again, I don't think vampires do because it might be a toxin to them. I've read about that. Yeah, I think vampires or something like that. They can't handle silver or something, right? No, I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't think anybody in the comments or the chat cares. Anyone who's on this channel doesn't care if you don't stack silver or if you sell your position and you capitulate. Nobody's going to contact you in 3 years and be like, dude, you should have never sold, man, or what are you doing? Or no one's going to call you up and say, I told you so, when it does increase in value and you're still sitting on your useless leper currency fiat zombie notes. No one's going to care. You're going to be a forgotten, a never was, and not even a has been. You're not even going to be a footnote or an asterisk in the books of history. You're just going to be one of the many masses of lemmings who hurled themselves off of a cliff, chasing a false dream, a false reality that was funneled to you through the propaganda machine. And no one's going to care. You're just going to be on a pile of corpses and skeletized remains of all of the other lemmings that hurled themselves off of the cliff chasing their fake dream. And again, you're not going to find sympathy, compassion, empathy, tears, any emotional output from myself. I won't even mention you in this video. I did read a comment earlier, I think it was from yesterday, and someone had mentioned that they were sick of Junius because he's just a blowhard now, and he's just trying to make videos to get content out and get subscribers. Get subscribers. That's what the guy said. I think it was in the community tab. And he did have silver as part of his name, but I won't repeat the rest of his name because I want to keep him, we'll keep this little gentleman private. First off, I don't really pay too much attention to the number of subscribers. It's fine. I think that also is manipulated. I know the channel's shadow banned. Like, I don't get I actually lose more subscribers than I gain. Believe it or not, that's the truth. We typically gain a few but lose more. Gain a few, lose more. And we've been stuck in this range for quite some time. People don't really subscribe that often to this channel. It's a very small group. I'm not a very likable fellow. We've got 30,700 subs, supposedly. I only see the same 100 people in the chat every day, so I really don't know where the other 30,600 people are. I don't know. I don't think they exist. Personally, I think many of them are bots, fake accounts, robots. And then, of course, there's probably about 20,000 or so federal agents who are tasked with tracking, monitoring, listening, digesting this channel, and keeping track of all of you in the chat there because, of course, we are extremist content, according to some people, and we're extremists, sound money extremists. So to the individual who left the comment earlier, honestly, nobody cares, okay, guys? So you can rant, you can rave, you can type huge, diatribes about all of your experience as a stacker and how you're finally giving up and you're capitulating. Again, bye. That's all I'm going to say to you. B-Y-E. Bravo, Yankee, Echo. Nobody cares. Again, they lack the understanding of the ideology of sound money and where this is going. They just don't frickin' get it. It's the normalcy bias turned up to 1 billion. These people believe that somehow, for some reason, because they've never experienced something, it will never occur. They don't think that there's any chance that the things in the future will be different from today. And perhaps they feel the pressure by seeing all of their friends engaging in things like crypto or the stock market, and they feel left out because they have to sit there and look at their boring little stash of 65 centuries of value, their silver coins, their gold even. So capitulate. Go away. You're not needed here. Nobody wants you here. This is, not your thing. This place isn't for you. You obviously can't handle it. And it's good that you understand that. It's good that you have now recognized you lack the ideological fortitude and understanding and the awareness of history and monetary policy and economics. It's good that you are transparent to the community enough to know that you lack the ability to comprehend or understand those basic facts and principles. And because of that lack of knowledge, that self-induced ignorance, you have weakness of the Constitution, your Constitution, not the paper. I'm talking about like the old term. That man has a weak Constitution. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Because your Constitution is weak, and you cannot handle this, you have to exit. You have to retreat. You have to capitulate and leave. And that is good. Because this is not for the weak. This is not for the mental midget. This is for people that are going to be having to deal with a little bit of patience, a little bit of strength. Okay? I'm glad we got that out of the way. So goodbye to those who can't handle stacking silver because they lack patience, they need instant gratification, and because they are mentally weak. Because it's true, that's what they are. They are mentally weak people. And of course, they immediately have to include ridicule in the comments when they leave. They go, Junius, and then they rant, rave, and give me a red face. Come on, guys, give me the little wojaks. Give me the triggered emoji. Give me some emojis. I got one. Sam Black. There you go, my friend. Sam Black's throwing down the booger eaters, the NPCs, the triggered guy, and the soy boy. I love it. Throw it down because that's who we're dealing with on the other side of this trade. And I'll happily buy their silver from them at $26 per ounce or take their money. Now, one thing, the first article we'll bring up here and talk about this morning is this silver bull is not transitory. I could have told you that. I mean, this is not anything new to you or to me. The silver bull is not transitory. I would say that the metals bullish behavior of both gold and silver, the multi-decade bull run, it's not transitory at all. As a matter of fact, I don't want to say it's eternal or it's permanent because, of course, things could change. It might become money again. And then in that case, it would just be very stable and it wouldn't need to be bullish because it wouldn't need a market. It would just be money, which is what it is, a store of labor, a medium of exchange, a unit of account, a liquidity anchor, restored to its rightful place. We're in a weird period of history. It's a very unique period. The only time in human history where silver and gold are in the position they're in. You know, a lot of laws are passed on them. Governments frown upon them. People have to like secretly buy it and hide it from their family like they're part of some weird religious sect. You ever feel like that? Like you're persecuted or like you're part of some bizarre new religion and like you don't want to really let it out there that you're a stacker because you're afraid the Roman Empire might throw you into a Colosseum or something because you're a stacker. And people will look at you like, oh my God, that guy buys silver? What's wrong with him? Oh, he's probably one of those anti-government types. Oh, I bet he believes in conspiracy theories. And you have to deal with that with your family. You're at a barbecue. Your Uncle Daryl starts going off about God knows what. And then your Aunt Margie's over there like, yeah, yep, I know, yep. Physics, we've worried about him for a long time. Ever since physics started reading those Rothbard books, Physics Hypernova, he just became a little bit of an extremist. And now he was reading Ron Paul, and now he buys silver. He buys silver? Yes. Physics Hypernova is buying silver now. And so the whole family's worried about you now, right, Physics? Because you buy silver now. Dangerous. You're a dangerous person. Ladies and gentlemen of the Junius Maltby channel, I'm glad you're here this morning. I'm a little bit sleep deprived, had a long night, but we're back. We're back, and we're better than ever. And the silver bull is not transitory. I'll tell you what is transitory: the life of the dollar. The silver bull, this period that we're in. We haven't heard about this a lot lately, and I thought this was a really good perspective that this author put towards this. And his name is Peter Krauth, I think, and this is from FX Empire, but I believe this might have been put out by Seeking Alpha as well. Now, at its latest FOMC meeting, the Fed naturally decided to keep the Fed's fund rate target at 0.25%. It also decided not to mess with the $120 billion of monthly bond buying programs to help support the flow of credit to households and businesses, par for the course. Meanwhile, inflation numbers of the previous 4 months have been anything but typical. The Fed's favored personal consumption expenditures price index has soared. In February, it was 1.6%, March 2.4%, April 3.6%, May 3.9%. Not a good trend. But the headline CPI recently came in at 5%. Can you believe that? Read that again. Headline CPI came in recently at 5%. And remember, they're lying. It's worse than that. It's worse. What's the highest interest rate anybody in the chat's getting on a money market, in a CD, or their savings account? Go. Everyone, throw it down. What interest rate are you getting in your accounts right now? I'm going to take a sip of this coffee. I give you time to think about it. I doubt any of you are seeing 2%, let alone 1%. So you're bleeding 3 to 4 to 5%. Most people, I know very little. I mean, you're getting very little percentages on your on any of your Federal Reserve notes held by any bank or any institution. So you're burning, your money's on fire. Picture it. Look outside your window. Picture a giant pile, almost like hay. And you just got a pile of $100 bills, $50 bills, 20s, 10s, 5s, 1s. They're all piled up in the street. Now watch as it's just doused with kerosene and someone hurls a match upon it and now it's just burning. I want you to get that mental image burned, literally burned, no pun intended, into your brain, because that's what's happening to all of your cash, all of your money, if it's in cash. It's burning. It's on fire right now. As you're sitting here watching this video, your wealth is deteriorating at an exponential rate. You're losing wealth every single day. The amount of goods and services that you will be able to acquire in the future is rotting. It's sinking like a worm-ridden ship hull. It's on fire. It's being destroyed. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. Nothing you're going to do about it. Unless you're buying silver. Unless you're buying gold. And again, silver is probably the most undervalued, underrated of the two in centuries. Now, we've got inflation taking place. Silver, of course, this author's saying it's cheaper than stocks. It's always informative and yet sometimes eye-opening to look at asset prices in relation to other assets. This is an interesting perspective he gathered here. It usually provides a good perspective on relative pricing. In that vein, there's little more surprising than to see how cheap silver remains relative to the S&P 500. The following chart shows the long-term ratio of silver to the S&P 500. Here it is. Silver S&P 500 ratio near all-time lows. So if you're this now, let's talk about it like this. If you are selling silver and buying anything in the S&P right now, what would this chart mean to you? What would this tell you? What would this be? It'd be the dumbest thing you could possibly do. You'd be selling one at an all-time historic low to buy the other at an all-time historic high, hoping that the all-time historic high asset class is going to go even higher and the low one is going to go even lower, believing that that would be the case. It's not going to happen. This is the opposite. This is one of those leaps that few people will make, but the few that do will be epic. These guys are going to make it bigger than any of us. Anyone who somehow, some way, for some reason, found themselves in the S&P 500, and they're sitting in it hot and pretty right now, breaking records, all-time highs, just smashing glass ceilings or whatever you want to call it. They're doing pretty fat. They're well, right? If a person were to take their S&P 500 positions right now and dump them 100% and be all in, throw all their chips and be like, you know what, I'm going all in on silver. Let's do it. I'm out. And they cash out of the S&P 500 right now and went all in silver. You're talking about dynastic wealth preservation, the formations of new dynasties. You're talking about people that would achieve such an insane and an incredible measure of wealth in the times to come and in the future that you would know who they were. They would become historical figures, I would argue. Honestly, if you took like the top 5,000 or 10,000 people that have positions in the S&P 500 ratio and they jumped into silver right now, I think that they would become some of the wealthiest people on the planet. That's the type of slingshot, moonshot reset that creates wealth that of unimaginable measure. It's staggering to even think about. Now, I don't have an S&P 500 position, so I'm not one of those people, but there might be some out there. And I think there are people that are identifying this and will be moving in that direction. When that wealth shift does begin to really kick off, the subdued behavior of metals and the languishing kind of just, I don't know, the slow. Well, let's just take a look at it. Where's my chart? Where's my silk? Come on, here it is. This little volatility 2606 that won't look like that anymore. And I think that you have a pretty good understanding of how much silver would be available for that type of a leap. I think it would be very difficult for that type of wealth shift to land in silver because I just don't believe the supply is there, the delivery is there, and that there would be an ability to acquire the silver for anyone. Okay, let's put it this way. The amount of people that would desire to take those positions and move into silver when it finally switches over, there's many of them will be let down because there will not be enough silver to be distributed to those who have the ability to buy it with fiat. And of course, like I've always said, the door will eventually close. No amount of any fiat will acquire you any amount of silver. I don't know why it's so hard for some people to grasp or understand that key point. You have to realize there's going to come a day where no amount of fiat currency or Federal Reserve notes, rubles, rupees, yen, Canadian, whatever you guys, your loonies, your toonies, the British pound sterling, the European euros, the Australian or New Zealand dollars, there will come a day where not a single amount, there's no measure, you can't come up with enough. No amount of paper will acquire you any amount of metal. It might occur at different times in different currencies, but it will occur. There is a point in history in the future. I can say this with almost 100% certainty and guarantee. There will come a time where you will not be able to redeem your paper for metal. I don't know when that is, but I can tell you one thing. I don't want to be a day late when that hits. You can be early. A lot of you might be decades early. You might be a year early, a couple of months early. I don't know. Who knows? No one knows the time. I don't have like a crystal ball or a magic 8-ball. Okay? I don't get my palm read. I don't believe in any of that trash. Nobody knows. But I can tell you one thing, 100% certainty. You do not want to be even 5 minutes late to that party. Because what's that mean for you? Well, it means that you have a wheelbarrow or a dump truck full of cash with nowhere to put it, nowhere to spend it. And the day that that happens, it doesn't matter really at that point what you can buy with that cash. That's the day that the currency is officially worthless because it no longer can acquire any amount of metal. Right now, you're kind of lucky. There's still idiots out there that'll sell you gold for $30 or so, Federal Reserve notes, 26 Federal Reserve notes for according to the COMEX, 27, 28, 29, 30 Federal Reserve notes for 1 ounce of fine silver that required a tremendous amount of human effort, labor, and resources, fuel, mountains to be moved, rocks to be crushed, metals to be extracted, purified, assayed, poured, and struck. All of that process, that arduous, laborious process that's existed for over 65 centuries and recognized by humans as a store of labor because of its limited supply. There's still people that'll allow you to hand them little silk pieces of paper with images printed on them, and they'll give you metal for it, which is remarkable. We're living in very, I think, fortunate times because of that. Silverbeard, thank you for the super chat, my friend. He says, the ultimate poker match between stackers and bankers. Let's call their bluff. I'm all in. I'm all in, man. I'm just pushing my chips into the middle of the table. Call it. Go for it. Pull it. Pull that smoke wagon. See what happens. Spin it, Lunger. Here's the deal. You guys got to just keep holding, keep being cool. We've had the motivational talks in the past. You know where we're going. You know where this is headed. You know that what I just said is true, that there will come a time where no amount of fiat will buy out any amount of metal. I don't know when that is, but it's coming one day. Now, I kind of get distracted here because this silver S&P scenario, I think it's funny. I think it's interesting. How many of you are sitting in the S&P 500 right now and knew that the S&P 500 ratio with silver is near all-time historic lows? Make the leap. What are you doing? Call somebody. Get on the phone. Make a transfer. Dump some stuff. Get out while the getting's good. You know, when everyone's buying and they're talking about like, boom, 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 these markets are breaking records, the S&P's doing this and that, that's when you want to quietly turn around and walk out and cash in your chips. There you go. This is sitting near 50-year lows. For what that's worth, silver would have to rise by a factor, check this out, this is some math for you. Silver would have to rise by a factor of 63 times just to match its level at its $50 peak in 1980. Pause for a minute. You remember the article I talked about and we did a discussion where a guy was saying that buying silver right now to him is the it's the economic equivalency or whatever he put it. It's the equivalency of buying like $3 and $4 silver. Hold on, I gotta fix our computer real quick. We're gonna lose battery power. I gotta plug it in. Come on, you. There we go. You back? There it is. Whew! Almost ran out of power, ladies and gentlemen. You're lucky I caught that. That's happened before during live streams. I gotta remember to plug that stupid thing in. But just think of that for a minute. I have to go up by 63 times. And the article I read a couple of months ago was an individual saying that the equivalency of buying silver at these prices today is essentially just like buying silver at $3 to $5. Mentally, it's hard for some people who bought silver back then because for some reason they understand the economics like I do even, but I don't. It's hard for me to make that connection when I know I bought silver for $4, $5, $6. They're different dollars. They're not the same dollars. They're completely different. These are not the same dollars. The dollars of 2021 are not the same dollars of 1994 or 95. They're completely different. The images look similar, but the purchasing power, the strength of that currency has been eroded and destroyed. And we're going to talk about that. I've still got charts to go through this morning. Let's do some quick math. He said in this article that silver would have to rise by a factor of 63 times to match the peak of $50 in 1980, and in this correlation with the S&P 500. Well, I'm going to do the math on that times 63 at 2606. You're looking at $1,641 silver, ladies and gentlemen. $1,641.78. That's the math that I just came up with. You take today's price, $26.06, right? $26.06 times 63, $1,641.78. That's what silver would have to achieve to be the equivalency of the 1980s. That $50 high. And then the S&P 500, all this stuff, all the asset classes. And I mean, again, the money, there's so many other variables. Money supply has increased far more so. I think that might be a conservative number. When you look at what's been happening, the central banks, the quantitative easing, the stimulus programs, all of these things. Again, many other variables. Now he's saying this, while this might sound sensational, my point is these conditions have existed in the past. This alone suggests explosive potential upside as the stock market matures and likely corrects while silver continues to climb. I read an article yesterday. I didn't do a story on it. I didn't have to. It didn't matter. The amount of all-time highs being breached and what's taking place in the stock market right now is essentially unprecedented. There's very, very few times in history to compare it to. We're getting down to like single digits, like, 2 other times or 3 other times in all of history. Very, very, very unique period we're living in right now. You know why that's, obviously the Fed, the Treasury, all of this, it's all smoke and mirrors, it's all hogwash, it's all BS. But not a lot of people get it. Dr. Michael Burry, just read about him the other day again. And there's another article. He put out some new information. The guy's calling it like way worse than I am. I thought I was a glass half empty. This guy's like, you don't even have a glass. You don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. You're SOL. It's going down, son. It's the end of the world as we know it, kind of a thing. It's gone. The market, in his eyes and in other eyes, there was someone else quoted in a similar article, the stock market, these guys are looking at it from their technical perspectives as massive managers of significant measures of wealth. These guys are calling for unparalleled collapse in the U.S. stock market. Worse than I can possibly even articulate to you or illustrate through this microphone and into the channel. I can't explain it like they do. Let's just put it this way. Bad. It's going to be pretty ugly, all right? Now, when that correction happens, and this guy in the article is talking about explosive potential upside, stock market's correcting, it will correct. Silver will continue to climb. Yeah, multi-decade bull run. On top of the fact the currency that all these stupid fake assets are measured in is dying. Again, we have charts to show you that. Physical silver demand is rising. We've got supplies diminishing. Again, and then at the same time, you have people capitulating. Weak-minded mental midgets that can't handle it because they don't have patience are cashing out. They're leaving silver at the worst juncture, the worst intersection of history. It's as if all of these events have been orchestrated to shake and shift and separate the wheat from the chaff, but most importantly, to shake these weak-handed mental midgets that can't handle silver out. They're just like, get out of here, get away, please sell your position and leave. We don't want to put up with you anymore. You're actually annoying everybody. When you come in and you start talking about silver did this and you just whine and you expect me to break out a fiddle and play you a whiny little tune and serve you cheese and crackers. It's not going to happen. Again, like I told you earlier in the video, nobody cares. Just leave. Sell your position. Buy the S&P at the all-time high with a ratio that never existed before when compared to silver and watch what happens. Then suck it up. Live with the consequences of your failed decisions. But don't come crying to everyone else. Don't broadcast to the universe in the comment section what a nincompoop you are. Nobody cares. Is it bait? Do you want someone to bite the hook and engage you? Because we're not going to. We're just going to laugh. We'll make a new emoji with your face on it. Of course, protection from inflation and uncertainty are great reasons to buy and own silver, he continues. And as I described above, inflation appears to be coming back with a vengeance. Oh, absolutely. Of course, I was an idiot for believing that, right? I was wrong. Looks like we've got we got the silver here. He's saying, could you share the Reddit graphics, Google impact of the Wall Street Silver Group on the silver market, monthly chart? Or the year. I'm not familiar. You have to send me a link and I could bring it up in another video. I'm not familiar with the Reddit graphic Google impact. I'm not familiar with that, my friend. But I will. I'm going to check it out. I think I saw you comment on that recently. And I'm going to have to look that up because I'm not familiar with it. I would like to see it for sure. Excellent. All right, let's continue on. In the past 15 months, prices for I left off somewhere, and as I described above, inflation appears to be coming back. Yep, it becomes in any case, investors are hedging against the risk that it becomes entrenched. In the past 15 months, prices for physical silver are higher than normal. That's because demand for physical products has remained elevated. Yes, it is, leading to sustained high. Oh no, there's that word, but premiums over the spot price. You got a lot of people that bitch about that. And that's if you can even get your hands on them. Many of the most popular coins and bars have been persistently out of stock thanks to the raids here on the Junius Maltby channel. Premiums are typically 40% or higher, which is nearly triple normal levels. My premiums. What's more, in the recent World Silver Survey 2021, the Silver Institute's forecasting continued strength for this year. They expect silver demand to climb by 26% after a very strong 2020. In fact, they foresee overall demand from all sectors to be up by 15%, nearly doubling supply growth of 8%. One area of note is demand from flexible electronics. Silver Institute indicates that demand for silver in printed and flexible electronics, 48 million ounces annually. They forecast demand will rise to about 74 million ounces in 2030. Absorbing 615 million ounces of silver in this decade alone. As technology becomes increasingly commonplace in our daily lives the world over, printed and flexible electronics are likely to play a bigger role. Consider that wearable electronics like smartwatches, appliances, and medical devices, and a host of internet-connected devices are exploding in use. Remember we talked about this the other day. All these new uses in technology, silver is just, it's being consumed, demanded everywhere. Sensors for light, motion, temperature, moisture, and motion all make use of printed flexible electronics, so it's natural that electronics subsector promises to be the fastest growing demand for industrial silver usage. Silver, look at this, says what I say. Silver's seasonal outlook is bullish. Another indicator that now may be a great time to be bullish on silver, unless, of course, you're a capitulating, weak-minded mental midget and you're dumping your position at the worst possible juncture in history. Well, unless you're that guy, then you're buying and you'll be holding it. Oh, I've got the link. Let me see. Hold on. Silverbeard sent me the link. Right click on it. Open link in new tab. All right. I can bring that up. I'll have it open in a few minutes. It's coming. The following is a 45-year chart from 1975 to 2020, which averages the annual silver price tendency. Looks like it's going up. So for all of you guys that open up the comments and say, oh, silver's going down. Silver dipped a penny. Well, look at this. We're going 1975 to 2020. Boom. Silver's going up. Sorry. You're wrong. It's going up. It's increasing percentage-wise repeatedly. These are measured by percentages. Look at this. 2%, 4%, 6%. Look at this. Look at this. It's going up. It's going up. It's going up. From this, it's quite clear that silver trends to mark a mid-year low right at the end of June. And from that point on, the average silver price enjoys a strong third quarter. Excellent. Average silver prices gain throughout the year. Look at that. This is its price performance throughout the year, of course. And yes, the worst point being about June or July. I always say sell in May, go away, probably come back in July and then buy again. Look at that. So this is the yearly performance averages, but overall it increases in each year. How to play silver now? And I've looked at those charts. I've showed you those. My thing is buy it. Just have physical, take delivery, hold physical, hold physical, hold physical. You know that. That's the Junius view. If you don't hold it, you don't own it kind of thing, right? Now, look. We got to talk about the dollar a little bit. And again, I don't care about the day moves. I look at the trend. Long term. Where's the dollar going? Let me take a sip of coffee. You guys can contemplate dollars for a second. I made this coffee a little strong, I think, this morning. All right. Here's a real quick thing for you. This is just a Google image search as I was looking at various articles on the subject of dollars, of dollar purchasing power. Let me tell you something. You can't find any good news, positive news, when you look at the buying power of a U.S. dollar. Now, I could, there's another chart. Actually, I'm probably going to have to bring that one up too. Let me click that one, open a new tab. There we go. All the charts that show you the purchasing power of a dollar over time tend to follow the same theme. They show that it's in decline. and it's been declining for a long time. Essentially, really the key point would be about since the 1930s. Some go back as far as 1913, the founding of the Fed. Others when Roosevelt unpegged the dollar from gold in 1933. But the point of this is the overall gist is it should be familiar. Most of you, I think, grasp this as good or more than me. You've probably studied it for quite some time. And you're familiar with it. That's what brought you to silver and gold in the first place. You know that, well, this is what it looks like. The purchasing power of the U.S. dollar. This is from 1920 to 2009. 76 years. The purchasing power was down 94% from 1933 to 2009. 94. It's almost 100%. Okay, that's a complete loss. Now, does that look like transitory to you? Is that temporary? Or would you say that's more like permanent, like mortality, like death? It's over. It's dead. It's deceased. It's rotting. It's decay. It's not temporary. Can anybody look at that and with a straight effing face tell me they think the dollar's coming back? That it's going to return. 94% of its value will somehow miraculously show back up. Someone's going to breathe life into it. Who's going to do that, CPR? What drug do you inject into the veins of the U.S. dollar to bring it back to life? Please, enlighten me. Entertain me. Do a little dance, puppet. Come on, puppet. I'm talking to you, puppet. You know, the one who comes on here and says they're selling their silver. They're upset. They don't like Junius anymore. They've been sold a bill of goods. Dance, puppet. Explain to me when you see this chart how the dollar will somehow miraculously return to its all-time glory. Please, we're waiting for you. As a matter of fact, I'll read that thesis. Write me that comment. Go off in the comments. Leave your diatribe. Write your 10,000-word essay and enlighten the entire community on how you see this path to victory for the United States dollar. That it's somehow going to restore the lost 100 years of eroded purchasing power and 100% loss in its ability to acquire goods and services. Please show me, please illustrate to me how that will be restored. I need to know because you have all the answers. You're selling your silver because you found the secret. You guys, if you only knew how dumb you really looked. Here we've talked about Bretton Woods. Look at this. I mean, there's a continued erosion and destruction to fund debt, war, statism, and tyranny globally. This is what an empire does. It destroys and erodes currency. That's why I've always showed you guys Rome, different periods in history, but how they destroy their currency, how they destroy people's wealth, the store of labor, how inflation, devaluation, debasement eats your wealth like a cancer. And you sit back and you let it happen and you believe it. And there's people that, again, they capitulate, they sell their silver and they reacquire. They want to live in the matrix. It's like they can't handle the truth. It's too uncomfortable. They just want to eat the steak and believe that it's real. They want to live in the lie because the truth is too uncomfortable. Well, guess what? I don't like people who are uncomfortable around the truth, and I want them to leave because I can't trust them. You can't trust people that say the things that we've read recently. You can't trust people that don't understand what really is the truth because, again, who knows what they're going to do? They might turn you into somebody. I don't know. This isn't coming back, okay? This isn't going to change what you're seeing on the screen. The dollar's dead. It's never, ever coming back. And it's only going to worsen. That's it. It's never coming back and it's only going to get worse. There's nothing you can do about it. And there really, truly is very limited options on how you can execute a path to surviving such an economic catastrophe. There's very limited exits here, okay? And you know what they are. It's gold and silver. Now let's continue with this. Here we go. We'll go back to that. Another dollar chart. Look at this one. Look at this one. Purchasing power of the dollar. Again, these are all from different sites, different sources. American Institute for Economic Research. You're going to find lots and lots of these. You can look these up all day. Purchasing power of the U.S. dollar. Here it is. The index value of 1 represents $1 of purchasing power in 1792, the year of the 1792 Contract Rifle and the 1792 Coinage Act. We talked about this the other day. Very key date. Remember this. This was in the 4th of July broadcast because we were sound money extremists. Because to believe in things that are true and that are counter to the narrative, well, that's extremist behavior. So if you're on this channel, if you're hearing this voice, if you're listening now and you're in the chat, guess what? You're an extremist. Welcome. You're with friends. The dotted line indicates the periods when the dollar was not tied to the gold standard. And as you can see, it's not doing too good. Look at this. There were times where it was above $1 in purchasing power because of different economic factors and the purchasing power of silver. But looks like right around here, it's a little less than 7 cents. I mean, look at that. Just completely eroded. I mean, if that was a chart, if that was a stock, if that was a bond, I mean, if that was anything, any investment vehicle, and you didn't know it was $1, how many people would advise you to buy it? If the dollar was a share of a company or a stock of any kind, did you know that there's not a single investor on this planet that would tell you to buy it? If you looked at its overall performance, trajectory, its path, everything about it, the fact that it bleeds and hemorrhages 2% or more a year for 100 years, did you know there's nobody of any sound or reasonable mind that would advise you to have any exposure or position to the dollar whatsoever? Did you know that? If you took the word dollar off of every dollar chart, and nobody could tell you what asset class or vehicle or it represented, but you had the opportunity to acquire it based on its performance and you looked at it, nobody would tell you to buy it. So why the hell do you own it? Why the hell do you hold it? Why does anybody? It's a good question. It's a very good question. And then there's idiots that they're literally going to sell their silver right now. There's people today that are capitulating, selling silver and buying the dollar and holding it. Good for them. Good for them. Purchasing power of the U.S. dollar, 1900 to 2003. Ooh, that's ugly. Just destroyed right there, huh? All right, I get it. I'm seeing a theme here, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another one. Oh, this one was great. This was another chart, but they didn't have the labels were on another site, but this is, again, dollar performance and purchasing power against other economic indicators and such. And the point is, same direction. It's going down. Look at this one. Let me get this one bigger for you. I want you to be able to see the whole thing. Let's see. Here we go. Let's get this to fit. This is a big graphic. Okay. It's really not fitting. There we go. Here we go. I'm trying, ladies and gentlemen. This is quite the piece of artwork. There we go. Can you see that? Here, and there it is. There it is. Boom. The rise and fall of the U.S. dollar. This is a really good detailed piece. This is worth it. Purchasing power of the U.S. dollar from 1913 to 2019. You seeing the theme here? How's this looking? Let's see. The Fed was created right here. Okay, 1913. There's the Fed. Huh, weird. Look at that. Fed's created, and the dollar just immediately begins to crash in value. I'm seeing this. Looks like the pink is U.S. recession periods. The roaring 20s. Wall Street crashed here. Of course, people fled to dollars for their own ignorant reasons, and then the dollar went up a little bit. And then the depression hits. We've got FDR unpegging the dollar from gold. It continues to decline. Bretton Woods. Oh, everyone's got to hold reserves, and the dollar's the world reserve currency. They have their little agreement, and it just continues to be worse and worse. Look at all the recession periods you're seeing in here, though. Fed was created here. Got all these recessions. Got currencies being destroyed. The expansion of government. An oil crisis here. The dot-com bubble over here. Lehman Brothers collapses here. Taxes, Trump tax cuts, the longest U.S. expansion ongoing since 2009 is right here. And the dollar's just hemorrhaging in its purchasing power value. And then we just read the article earlier, and we've talked about this with inflation. It's losing value every single day. It's like 5% now. Again, inflation destroys currency. It's destroyed. It just continues, and it's unstoppable. This, my friends, is not transitory. That's my point here. Come on, tell me again that, please, say it to my face that the inflation's transitory. Please, I challenge you. Look at this chart and tell me it's transitory. What does transitory even mean? Can you put it over a measure of time for me? Like, don't use the word, but like, what does it equal? If a decade equals 10 years and a century equals 100, what does transitory equal as a measure of time in span of whatever measure, years, hours, I don't know. Is transitory like 3 months, 6 months, 6 years? What the hell does it even mean? They don't know what it means. They don't give a shit. It's just a part of a lie. And it's smoke that they, and mirrors and distractions that they send out there to get the masses, the lemmings and the sheep and the NPCs and the booger eaters and the soys to believe it, to give them time. It gives the elite time to make their own moves and do their own things. Because this chart here, this is like speaking Greek to most people. If you showed this chart to 100% of Americans, less than 1% would have any comprehension, understanding of what this is showing them and what it means. That's a fact, really. Think about that for a second. You guys are part of a very, very small group, a very elite group. Because I'm assuring you that if you showed this chart, just try it sometime. Print this off, screenshot it, find it. It's from howmuch.net. Tells you the article sources there, the rise and fall of the US dollar. You can find this on Google Images. Print it off. Do an experiment. Take it to a barbecue. Ask your Uncle Daryl and your Aunt Margie if they have any comprehension of what this is showing them, what it means. They won't. They won't be able to explain any of it. Some of them might even be an apologist for it. They'll try to justify it. It's not coming back. This isn't transitory. This is the real deal. This is permanent. This is forever. This is eternal inflation until the infinite loss of wealth and the infinite death of the dollar. There's nothing you can do about it. This is the end of the dollar. We're in its death throes, the end of days. It's constantly being destroyed. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. Doesn't matter how hard you pray or think or believe or want to or even transition into it. The worst thing you could do, the last thing that you could possibly do, should do, the last, would be to get rid of your dollar and acquire, or get rid of your silver and gold and acquire dollars. And make that leap, weaken at this point to finally cave in and give in to the pressure. And buy dollars. It's incredible. I can't believe people are doing it, but yeah, there's people that do. But look at that. A dollar's purchasing power of the U.S. It's gone. It's gone. 96% of its purchasing power gone. So the value of one U.S. dollar in 2020, and this is from, again, each chart's different, but yeah, 26.14 it says here, all the way down to $1 here. This is, again, this is the way they measure it. Again, it's different. I guess it helps some people instead of showing it go from $1 to like a nickel in value. But you get the loss here. You get how far it's been destroyed, how much it's been eroded. And of course, my favorite site, I wasn't even really planning on bringing these guys up again. I love this page. This is one of my favorites. These guys are fun. And I actually think I did this way back when. This is kind of a Junius Maltby time machine, because when this article first came out in 2017, I'm almost positive we did a story on it and that we talked about it. But why not? There's some new people here. You guys haven't been here for a while. If you want to go into the archives and find it, go for it. This is visualizing the buying power of the US dollar over the last century. And it just kind of shows you what happened to it, how much it was destroyed, how much it's been eroded, how much less the dollar buys. It's kind of a timeline in history. And it just shows you the money supply expanding as well. Look at this. The U.S. money supply is $7 billion right here. Watch this. This is crazy. And then notable monetary events. After the panic in 1907, the National Monetary Commission is established to propose legislation to regulate banking. Right? $1 buys a pair of patent leather shoes. This is what $1 can buy you. Can you imagine? Can any of you buy a pair of leather shoes today? What does a pair of leather shoes cost today? Like handmade, cobbler, patent leather shoes. Okay, let's go forward here. 1913? Oh, the Fed Reserve Act is signed by Woodrow Wilson. $1 buys a woman's house dress. Wow. Can you buy a woman's house dress for $1 today? I don't know. I can't tell. The money supply has expanded from 7 to 13, so they doubled the supply, the money supply. Interesting. 1920, the Fed starts using open market operations as a tool for monetary policy. The U.S. dollar bills were reduced in size by 25%. And it's standardized in terms of the design. And a dollar can buy you 5 pounds of sugar. What is 5 pounds of sugar today? Anyone? Let's look. I don't even know. Of course, production has gotten easier, but let's just look up. I wonder what does 5 pounds of sugar cost? 5 pounds of sugar. I'm going to look it up on my phone. Sugar. Let's just check this out. I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. Oh, let's see. C&H sugar, 4 pounds. Let's see. I don't see a 4 pound bag is like $3 to $4. Corn sugar, 5 pounds, $8.50. 4 pound bag of $3 and something. $3.99. It just depends. These are all 4 pounder bags. I'm guessing 5 pounds would be like $5-6. So again, probably hard to come by back then, but and again, production, agriculture has changed, become more efficient. So I would imagine that sugar should be cheaper today, but it's $1 back then, bought you 5 pounds of sugar. Money supply is $35 billion. Okay. To deal with the deflation during the Great Depression, the United States suspends the gold standard. Oh, we know about this. President Franklin D. Delano Roosevelt signs Executive Order 6102, criminalizing the possession of gold, no longer allowing gold to be legally redeemed. This removes a major constraint on the Fed, which can now control the money supply. Oh, look at that. The money supply went from $35 billion to $46 billion. A dollar buys you 16 cans of Campbell's soup. 16 cans of Campbell's soup. Okay. For $1. I get it. The massive deficits of World War II were almost financed entirely by the creation of new money. This is 1940 and through 1950. Let's see. Federal Reserve interest rates are pegged low at the request of the Treasury. Under Bretton Woods, the gold exchange standard is adopted. The money supply has gone from $46 billion to $55 billion. They just keep adding to the money supply. You guys seeing that? You seeing how much it just keeps going up? The money supply increasing. $1 buys you 20 bottles of Coca-Cola. And this was probably really good Coke. Had real sugar in it, I'm sure. 20 bottles of Coke for $1. I doubt that happens. You can't do that anymore. All right. Korean War starts in 1950. Inflation's at an annualized rate of 21%. The Fed can no longer manage such low interest rates and tells the Treasury that it can no longer maintain the existing situation. An agreement called the Treasury Federal Reserve Accord is reached to establish the central bank's independence. The money supply went from $55 billion, ladies and gentlemen, to $151 billion. Do you notice a trend with the money supply right now on the right side of the screen? And a dollar buys a Mr. Potato Head. Great. A Mr. Potato Head. $1. 1960. By this time, the U.S. dollars in circulation around the world exceed U.S. gold reserves. First time. More dollars in circulation than their gold reserves. Unless the situation was rectified, the country would be vulnerable to the currency equivalent of a, quote, bank run. Look at that. The money supply is now $211 billion. $211 billion. It was $150 in the decade prior. 150. It just keeps going up. A dollar buys you 2 movie tickets. Great. Here we go. 1971. We're coming up on this anniversary. President Richard Nixon ends the direct convertibility of the United States dollar into gold. Remember, he says, I will temporarily suspend the convertibility of the dollar into gold. Temporarily, he said. He lied. It's permanent. But he ended the convertibility of the dollar into gold. And the period following the Nixon shock is uncertain. The federal deficit doubles. Stagflation hits. The oil price skyrockets during the Vietnam War. Over the decade, the dollar loses a third of its value. Think of that for a moment. In 10 years, the dollar loses 33%. Things are worse now. But back then, it lost 33% of its value. Oh, yeah, transitory inflation. Are you kidding me? This has been going on every decade since before any of you were even born. A dollar buys 3 Morton TV dinners. 3 of them. 3 TV dinners for $1. Money supply 400 billion now. 401 billion. It was only 211 billion the decade before. So they doubled the money supply, and they erased 33% of the dollar's purchasing power. Okay, this is just like all the charts we're looking at, with a little more detail. 1980s. Look at this. 87, 89. Stock market crashed in 87 on Black Monday. Federal Reserve, under a newly appointed Alan Greenspan, he issued the following statement. The Federal Reserve, consistent with its responsibilities as the nation's central bank, affirmed today its readiness to serve as a source of liquidity to support economic and financial system. Good, Alan. Thank you, Alan. Exit stage left, please. The Dow would recover by 1989 with no prolonged recession occurring. $1 buys you a bottle of Heinz ketchup now. And the money supply is 1,560 billions. 1.5 trillion now. It's way up there. We're just growing that. And then we've got the decade is generally, this is the 90s. 1990 to the year 2000. I'm going to sneeze in a moment. I think I'm allergic to all of this. Hold on a second. Here we go. Ready for the sneeze. Always get, don't you hate that when you know it's coming? COVID. I do that in public. It scares the hell out of people. This decade is generally considered to be a time declining inflation and the longest peacetime economic expansion in U.S. history. During the decade, many improvements are made to the U.S. paper currency to prevent counterfeiting, microprinting, security threat, other features used. Also, Brown's down. They talked Gordon Brown into dumping all the British gold in the market. That was a good idea, wasn't it? The dollar buys a gallon of milk. Money supply is now 3,277 billion. Look at this, money supply is just growing. After the dot-com crash, the Fed drops interest rates all-time lows. 2008 financial crash hits, and the Fed begins quantitative easing. $1 buys you a Wendy's hamburger. And the money supply is 4,917 billion. Ooh, look at this. It's going way up. By 2010, the Fed holds $2.1 trillion of bank debt, mortgage-backed securities, treasury notes, the Fed's balance sheet during the crisis. And it's got way worse than this, ladies and gentlemen. I can't imagine. I haven't seen what the current money supply is, but assets held by the Federal Reserve, they've got all this quantitative easing. Look at this. Just a massive, massive expansion of the Fed's balance sheet, which is only worsened. You've seen these charts now. Fed balance sheet's off the charts. $1 buys you a song on iTunes, and then the money supply is 13,291 billion. Unbelievable. At the turn of the 20th century, the money supply was just 7 billion. Today, there are literally 1,900 times more dollars in existence. Ooh, what does that mean? Huh? If $1 used to be almost an ounce of silver, that means silver should be about 1,900 times that. So, ooh, are we looking at $2,000 silver? Possibly? Based on this? I don't know. Is it possible? Absolutely. Anything's possible. If fake digital tokens on a screen can fetch what they're fetching, I'm sure that silver, being sound money and the liquidity anchor of 70 centuries of human existence, could definitely achieve $1,000 or $2,000. But that's just me. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, that's really all I had today, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I really wanted to, if anything, motivate you guys. Oh, I forgot. This is the chart. Hold on. You guys wanted to see this. Let's go to it. Here it is. Yes. Sorry. I'm back. You guys really wanted to see this. It was requested. I heard you, and you sent me the link, and I appreciate it. This is the chart that was requested. This is the rise of Wall Street silver, the impact of the Wall Street Silver Group on the silver market monthly. Okay, so right here, let's just check it out. Let's see what it says here. 46 ounces per monthly average purchase by apes from a survey on Wall Street Silver. Okay. Total monthly production, white dotted line. Total monthly production without industrial demand. That's this orange line. Total monthly production without industrial and investment demand is this yellow line down here. Number of apes in the Wall Street Silver Group. Oh, it's rapidly rising. Look at this. It goes like 10,000, 20,000, 50, 100, all the way up to, looks like 1 million out here in red. And then you've got number of ounces per month in millions. So yes, the Wall Street silver community, those of you here who are apes, all of us who have been stacking for decades before the existence of even the internet or Reddit, we're putting a dent in the silver supply. And all we have to do is keep up on this, stay motivated, keep stacking. Yeah, you're going to have some capitulation. You'll have some weak ones. You'll even have people that, quote, consider themselves, quote, apes, that are going to get weak and drop out of this. They're not going to be in it for the long haul. I just know that because the demographic and the generation they come from, they're not going to have the fortitude to stick this out. That's okay. A lot of them will. Some won't. Some people can't handle it. And that's fine. But I'm glad you guys are here. And you're taking part in this. This is historic. This is historic. And like I said, silver's in a multi-decade bull run. Multi-decade bull run. That's what this is. You're looking at it. All the way from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, 2000s and forward. And this is just a blip. This is just a blip you're looking at. Pretty soon it's going to be literally, quote, off the charts, unquote. It'll be way, this won't capture it. Imagine seeing a chart where $50 silver is like a little tiny little blip down at the bottom, and the chart looks like this. And these peaks are things like $3,000 or $2,000 or $1,500 silver, and the average is $800, $900 or $1,000. Who knows? I don't know, but I'm telling you, that's a scenario that could unfold. I can tell you one thing. I believe in silver a hell of a lot more than I believe in the US dollar when I look at charts, history, and economics. Come on now. How can you not? Silver's in a multi-decade bull run. Inflation is eternal. It's not transitory. Inflation is eternal. We just looked at that. It's not coming back. It's forever. It's gone. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Keep stacking. Hit the like. Share this video with the capitulating weak mental midgets that you know. Share this on Wall Street Silver. Post this in Reddit. Spread the word. Stay invigorated. Stay energized. It's not over. We're going to raid again. The raid never ends. Buy more silver. Yeah. No, I don't get a cut from anything. I don't care. And I don't care if you don't. Keep stacking. I'm gonna. I've never stopped. I buy what I can when I can. And no, I don't have to show you my full stack. You're not entitled to that. So don't ask. That was another comment. Junius doesn't even show his stack, man. I don't have to. No one does. And guess what? It doesn't matter because every ounce counts. I don't care if you buy a mercury dime. Take silver off the market. Get rid of your fiat. We're going to win this. You want to know why? We're precious metals insurgents. We don't have to win. We just don't let them win. And when that makes our victory inevitable. You realize that? You guys are precious metals insurgents, extremists, entrenched, dug in your own little mountains somewhere, hoarding silver, not allowing the empire, the Federal Reserve Empire and stormtroopers to come after you and to take what's yours. It's your labor, your wealth. Keep it, hold it, convert it into metals. Done. We know where this is headed. All right. That's it. This is Junius Maltby, the extremist, the radical, the precious metals insurgent, signing out. You were live here today on the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman. I thank you all for participating, each channel member, each Patreon member. Please do me a favor. Hit the like. Do it. I don't know why it's so hard. Some people just forget to or they can. But hit the like, hit the share, leave a comment down below. A real comment, yeah. Engage. Discuss these things. To all the channel members, I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the channel. You're the best. You guys are awesome. Patreon members, you guys are excellent. I enjoy each and every one of you. I try to answer your contact, your emails, your questions when I can. I'm quite busy. I'm also quite tired. All right. You guys be well, though. And keep stacking. I'll see you on the next raid. There will be more. Take care of yourselves.